Katie, and thanks a lot to everybody for being here. It's really a pleasure to be asked to do this, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you can't hear me as well, tell me to speak up a little bit. I'm just going to introduce John briefly, then John will read from his book for, I guess, 10-15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a brief chat about the book and take it from there. In Plato's dialogue, The Republic, the philosopher Socrates, in considering the meaning of the idea of justice, attempts to describe in detail the ideal political state. It would be a state, surprise, surprise, ruled and overseen by philosophers, those fine fellows who most obviously possess the appropriate virtues for such a task and knowledge of reality's true structure. Now, most aspects of running a decent and just state are predictable enough. You make sure everybody has a job, you don't facilitate corruption. But one key issue that Socrates raises is less obvious. For the state to run smoothly, you need to get rid of the poets. All writers, all artists, gone. Vanished. And why? Well, according to Socrates, basically they're all liars. They make up stories. They fabricate and imitate. They tell stories about gods and minotaurs, stories that purport to explain how the world works, but are basically bullshit. So far, so good. Novelists out, philosophers in. But here's the really funny bit. Throughout the Republic, the text itself, whenever Socrates has to explain something really tricky, like what happens after we die, what does he do? He tells a story, a myth he calls them, to illustrate his point. It's a strange thing. Socrates has to do the very thing he disparages, because sometimes facts are elusive or just don't cut it. But I think Socrates would deny that he's merely being poetic when he tells these stories. He's doing something else. He's furnishing us with a myth, something that is apparently neither wholly truth nor wholly fiction, but somewhere mysteriously in between. So here are the facts. This is a book. It's called The Readymades. It's full of lies, but it's true. It tells the story of the LGB group, a loosely knit band of artists who traipse around Europe, exhibiting art devoted to the notion of the everyday. They don't exist, but you can see their artwork right there. Most of the artists in the LGB group are represented by, and you correct my pronunciation, sorry, by Gallery Dragicevic in Paris, except that gallery is not there. Now, you can see photos of the gallery. The gallery has a website, and you can buy art from them. Art by an art group that doesn't exist, but who nonetheless are also going to be in the Armory Show this week, so that everyone in New York can buy their work. This work has been exhibited by Gallery DOR, another gallery whose physical existence is, let us say, open to interpretation. They will make available the works of the LGB group, who don't exist. So, what does all this make the Readymades? Is it a novel? Perhaps. Yet it is arguably also a memoir, a definitive account of the rise and the fall of the LGB group, as written by Georgi Bovic, one of the group's founders, and given in manuscript form to John Holten, the character in the novel, who has the same name as the man sitting here. But perhaps, with Socrates in mind, the Readymades might be best described as a myth. The story of the LGB group is an artfully constructed pack of lies, but one can't help suspecting, as one reads it, that it is telling us a truth far richer than a mere bunch of facts. It tells the story of fluid identities, fluid sexualities, and fluid borders, of people desperately trying to find their place in a world always on the edge of chaos. It tells the story of Europe trying to paper over its own cracks and coming to terms with its own legacies of war and division. Like Joseph Beuys's self-mythologizing stories of being shut down over the Crimean front and being nursed back to health by Tartar tribesmen, question of fact and fiction lose their relevance in the face of the power of these tales and this book to tell us something about the world we live in. But here's some more facts for what it's worth. John Holten was born in 1984 in Ireland and studied literature and philosophy at University College Dublin and the Sorbonne in Paris before obtaining an MPhil at Trinity College Dublin. In 2001, he co-edited the Charlemagne award-winning anthology You Are Here for Broken Dimanche Press. The Readymades is his first novel. He lives in Berlin. Brian Dillon, the UK editor of Cabinet magazine, has said that with the Readymades, John Holten has expanded the scope of the novel so that it is not merely a comment on the present, but a set of artistic strategies and processes set out into the world. 3 final facts, for what it's worth. You need to buy the Readymades. You need to read the Readymades. You need to tell people about the Readymades. Ladies and gentlemen,